the mindful life practice.
Okay, great. So we're going to start our practice in a seated pose, and it might be nice to sit on a cushion if you're not used to being seated crisscross. I'm in total comfort mode. I'm in my pajamas. So come to a cross-legged shape, or if cross-legged isn't comfortable for you, take any other seated variation. If you have pain in your knees, you can also be like up on a chair. That is totally fine. Just find a shape where you can be easy. Be still. And do a little scan of your body and a scan of your mind. We're living in like a really crazy time. This conversation's bizarre. We're talking about like evacuation flights, and you know, for me it was a miracle that I went for my first walk today. And so I think it's normal that we as humans we're all experiencing and reacting to this in different ways. I think I'm still in a bit of shock. I was speaking to a friend today who was talking about how she's feeling a lot of grief. Just kind of grief for the things that she's lost in her life. So maybe as you're sitting here in stillness, just do a little kind of check-in. How are you doing? And know that there is no right or wrong way to feel. A part of our yoga practice is just learning to feel it, whatever it is. So without changing or modifying the breath, just notice how it is moving through your body. Are your inhales and exhales deep? Are they even? Does one inhale flow into the next naturally, or is there like a little jagged stop? Just notice. And then if you want, let's anchor one hand on the chest and one hand on the belly. And now start to feel your inhale flow in and press against your palm on the belly and then the palm on the chest. And then exhale, release from the belly, release from the chest. And then just kind of let this breath flow in and out. And the aim here is to fill the whole torso. To deepen the breath. So we're going to be focusing on grounding down and rooting down. Because I think a lot of us somewhat feel like a little ungrounded at this time. So I'm going to invite you, if you want to take on the intention of I am grounded. Or your intention here might be something totally different. Maybe just I am present, or I am breathing, or I am feeling. And then before we drop into stillness, we're going to do like a little bit of movement, just because I feel like sometimes we need to like get our kind of our energy out, almost like kids a little bit. So let's take a breath in, and then we're just going to sweep both palms up towards the sky. Take a big stretch. And then when you exhale, land one palm, the right or the left, alongside your hip, and then just take a stretch over the body and take deep breaths. And then inhale, come all the way up. And then let's take that lateral side bend the opposite side. So left palm lands, right palm reaches over, breathe into the right side body. We're going to come all the way back up through center, both palms reaching overhead. And then you're going to take it into a twist. So you're going to take one palm on your opposite knee, take the other palm behind you, and then gaze over the shoulder. And then come all the way back up through center. And then twist the opposite way. Come all the way back, and we're going to take a nice traps stretch. So you're going to drop your right earlobe down towards your right shoulder. And maybe this is just enough. You can also take your right palm and anchor it on the outside of your head, your left head, the left side of your head. And then if you want to stretch your left arm out and then just see where, like everyone has like a different angle that feels good with this. Just kind of find your sweet spot. If you've done my classes a lot, you've probably heard me talk about how we have like these tension sweet spots. I don't know why I call them sweet spots, because they're not really sweet. They're areas of the body where we carry a lot of our stuff, a lot of our baggage, a lot of our stress. And the traps muscle is one of them. And I think especially since we've all been like stuck in our homes and like hunched over our computers, we might be particularly feeling it in this place. Just take one more breath. And then take your head all the way back up through center. And I just want you to pause, land your right palm. And this is a really great opportunity to just feel the difference from the left side as opposed to the right. And then we'll take it the opposite way. So your left earlobe is going to drop down, and then maybe you add this nice little weight and anchor, and then you play with where your hand is going. Just kind of breathe into this stretch. And take one more inhale. One more exhale. And then come all the way back up through center. And then let's just drop the chin towards the chest and then take some half circles, kind of draping the chin, rocking from side to side. And let's just bring the head all the way back up through center. If you're sitting on a pillow, just take it to the side. Find yourself into a tabletop. So your palms are underneath the shoulders, the knees are underneath the hips, and we're just gonna move through some cat-cow flows, okay? So as you inhale, you're gonna tilt at your pelvis, your belly will go down towards the mat. And then as you exhale, you're gonna curl your spine and tuck the chin. This is your cat. And start to move with the rhythm of your breath. And start to tap into your own intuition. So maybe it feels good to like make this a full circle. Maybe you move through the hips. Just kind of do whatever feels good for you. There is no right or wrong. And then let's just give it one more round of breath. And let's take one more stretch before we start our restorative poses, okay? We're gonna take a shoulder opening stretch. I love this stretch. So keep your right palm where it is. Breathe your left palm up towards the sky, nice big twist. And then you're gonna thread your left arm underneath your right and land onto your left cheek. And maybe you stay here. Maybe you take the arm up. Maybe you wrap it around the back body, just like hooking deep into this stretch. So make sure your head is heavy. Your shoulder is grounded. This is like a deep release for the shoulder blades. And then let's come all the way back up. Land the right palm. Land the left, and then take it the opposite way. So take your right palm all the way up towards the sky, big stretch. And then thread your right arm underneath the left and land onto the cheek. And then maybe you lift the left arm up and take that little wrap around, getting deeper into the stretch. And then just take 3 breaths. Take one more inhale, one more exhale, and then come all the way back up through center. If there's any like last little movements you want to take, feel free. And we're gonna come into our first restorative pose, which is called Balasana, or your child's pose. So we have pillows, hopefully you have some pillows to support yourself. You can bring a pillow underneath you, maybe like folding it over like this to create kind of a bolster. Or you can lay flat on the pillow. And something else that can be comforting is like if you are especially tight in your knees and that doesn't feel good to sit on the hips, you could also put a pillow back here, right? Basically, I want you to feel like totally kind of supported and cocooned into this shape. It's kind of like a fetal position. So kind of drop down into stillness and start to rest into stillness there. And if it's comfortable for you, just rest your forehead flat down.
I'm just making sure my phone is off because every night at 8 p.m. in Abu Dhabi, they send this like extremely loud SOS to our phones telling us to stay inside. So I've silenced my phone and I'm hoping, I put it on airplane and I'm hoping that it will not come through during this class in the next 10 minutes. I apologize in advance if it does. So child's pose is like a pose that should help us feel grounded, comfortable. And we're kind of tapping into tonight the root chakra. This is like the area of the body that is all about safety and security. Comfort and groundedness. So as you drop down into and rest into this shape, maybe consider, how is it that I nurture myself? I think many of us have, we've developed our life and our rituals and we have our self-care routines. And then that all gets thrown up in the air when, we're living 24/7 in this tiny apartment, maybe with our kids. And depending on how long you've been in the lockdown, you might not have established those self-care rituals yet. Maybe for a moment considering, how do I nurture myself? And maybe it's just by coming to yoga, by showing up, by setting aside this hour of my day and my life for me. I just have my head resting on one earlobe. And if you're doing that, if you're on one side, maybe flip your head to the other side now so that you're like evenly getting a stretch through both sides of the neck. One of the key tools for coming into the present moment in yoga is connecting our attention to the breath. And so as you drop into this pose, we feel the rhythm of your inhale going in through the nose. Maybe it lifts the low back slightly. And then your exhale softens and you almost surrender into the shape. Now let's just stay in this child's pose for one more round of breath. And then slowly peel all the way up to upright. And we're going to drop into a supported twist. So what you're going to do is you can keep that pillow. You might like more than one pillow, you'll see. And you're going to take both knees to one side now. So your hip is going to be like snuggling up right next to the pillow. Okay, and then what you're going to do is start to turn your body towards the pillow and then start to lie your heart down. And you might need to readjust. Like I need to make mine a little bit further to support my forehead. And then if you want a little bit of a slighter twist, you can gaze in the same direction as your knees. And if you want to take this twist all the way up to your cervical spine, you're going to drop onto your right cheek. So you're going to send your gaze away from the twisted knees. So we're focusing on the lower body, on grounding and rooted postures. The root chakra kind of taps into the ground and, you know, the weight and the density of our bones. So these stabilizing postures can help us balance this chakra. I think many of us are used to this yin yoga class where we're getting into pretty deep stretches. I want you to know that in restorative, it's okay if you're even just feeling a really slight and small sensation. That is enough. However much you're feeling is enough. So we've been here for 3 minutes and we're going to be here for about 2 minutes more. I think if you're brand new to yoga, it can be challenging. Challenging to hold stillness for such a long time. Oftentimes when we're in stillness, we're kind of confronted with, you know, our thoughts or our worries or the stuff that we're carrying around comes up. See if you can almost picture yourself as like the sky that holds the weather. When these thoughts and these feelings and these worries are coming up, they're like clouds moving across the sky. Right? I am the sky and everything else is just the weather. Let's take 1 more breath on this side. And then just slowly start to peel all the way up. And then we're just going to turn so that our knees are facing the opposite side. So your hip is snuggling up to the pillows the opposite way. Readjust in any way that you need, and then lay your torso down. And again, choose what you want to do with your head. If you're looking towards the side with your knees, it's a bit more mild. And if you're looking away from the knees, it's going to take this stretch all the way from the base of the spine all the way up to the cervical spine. Now, I think I say this like all the time in yoga, but I love this metaphor. It's like imagining that your spine is like this washcloth and you're like wringing out, you know, all the stuff, all the tension, all of the residue that it's picked up along the way. When you move into a really satisfying spinal twist, it like releases all of that. So we're about halfway through this pose. For the next 3 or so minutes, maybe thinking about what gives me stability. What helps me to remain grounded? Take about 10 more rounds of breath. And then just take one more inhale. Then one more exhale. So we're going to slowly unwind and then just come all the way up. You can leave your pillows where they are and you're just going to turn. So you're going to lay your spine on top of these pillows. Rest the back of the head and then bring the soles of the feet together and take the knees open wide. So this is your butterfly or your Baddha Konasana. And we're taking a bit of like a heart opening back bend here with our pillows as they are. If you have particularly tight hips and this isn't suiting you with your knees wide, you can also have your knees bent and your knees knocking together, or you might cushion underneath your knees just to kind of support yourself. I'm going to suggest that we place palms on the belly if you like. It's funny, I'm always cueing people in Shavasana to like keep their hands open towards the sky. But if I'm really honest, in a lot of these poses, I find it most comforting to have my hands on my belly. And it might be that it helps me like physically connect to the rhythm of the breath. Right? You're feeling the inhale lifting your hands, and then you're feeling the hands lower on the exhale. So in our normal everyday life, if you can imagine, like, our thoughts are almost like the radio. Sorry, I mixed that up. Our thoughts are at the foreground of our head, and our breath is almost like the radio playing in the background. And in our yoga practice, really what we're aiming to do is reverse this. Okay, so we're using the tool of thinking about the breath. And we're making the breath become like the first thing on the forefront of the brain. And then the thoughts are like almost taking the back seat. And it's totally normal that thoughts will like come and go as you're resting here. So don't judge yourself. Don't think that like to be a yoga person, you have to be fully present over this hour, because it's normal and we're human, that our brains, monkey minds will jump. Just see if your brain does wander away, if you can like gently coax it to come back. Come back to the inhale, come back to the exhale. Come back to the sensations in the body. Come back to the present moment. Let's stay in this pose for about 1 more minute. Like 10 more breaths. Just take one more inhale. And then one more exhale. And then we're going to come all the way, just roll maybe onto one side. Bringing your body back gently up to seated. So the last pose that we're going to take, it's called Vipariti Karani, which is legs up the wall. I realized I didn't tell you guys to go near a wall. You can do this in a few different ways. You can either literally have your legs up the wall. If you're not near a wall, maybe you're near, like I'm by this couch and I can just put my feet up on this couch. But we're gonna lie onto our back bodies. And if you are near a wall, you can come up to the wall. I'm gonna put cushions underneath my body. And then start to snuggle up to the wall. And then bring the feet up onto the wall. And sort of cushion yourself in. If you aren't very comfortable on your back, you can always come back into like a different pose. You don't have to be in this one. This is like one of my favorite yoga poses, but I haven't taught it in a yoga class for like years because I just haven't been in a studio with a lot of wall space. At the room, there's like ballet bars and, stuff in the way. The magic of this pose is that it reverses the blood flow, right? So we're on our feet all day, or even if we're sitting upright all day, our blood is pooling at the bottom of the body, at the feet, in the legs. And when we take this legs up the wall, we're reversing that blood flow, and it's dropping down into the back, and it's dropping to the heart, and it's going towards the brain. And I feel like this pose is a super mood booster. Helps me kind of calm down when I'm all over the place. I'm having this memory right now. I don't know if my friend Emily, who's in the class, I'm gonna have to ask her after the class if she remembers this. But there was this one day in Kuwait. It was my first year of teaching. And I didn't really know how to like set the boundaries around like telling parents what was acceptable and what wasn't. I had this parent come in and throw this like completely crazy birthday party with like cakes and confetti and toys and loot bags and sweets, and it was just chaos. And then the end of the school day came, and I went to take the kids out to the schoolyard to be picked up. And when I came back into the classroom, the family had just left. They had just left this classroom that looked like a tornado. It was a disaster. And it was a Thursday afternoon, which is the weekend in the Middle East. Anyway, Emily came into my classroom, who was taking this class, and I think I just had my legs up the wall like this amidst this tornado. And she's like, "What are you doing?" But like in this chaos and in this situation where like I didn't know what to do, I was like, I guess I'll just put my legs up the wall. It has some like magical healing properties, I think. We're going to be here for a few more minutes. Just kind of enjoying the benefits of this pose. And I'm going to give you guys a few different choices. So if you're really enjoying legs up the wall, maybe you stay here for the rest of the time. That's totally okay. If you want to stretch out into a final Shavasana, which is just extend it out on your mat, belly up, go ahead, back down. You can also come up into a seated meditation. I'm going to move a little bit closer and sit on my cushion. And I mean, really, you can do anything. Like I just gave you 3 options, but like if you want to come back to your child's pose or back to another pose that is comforting for you. The whole point right now is just to feel good, to make your body feel good. We're going to finish with a meditation today. I'm sorry if you took my class earlier already. I think there's a few of you. You've done this meditation once before today. But I think it's a good one. I think it's worth repeating. This is called the Tonglen meditation, and the intention of this meditation is to try to absorb the pain and the suffering of people in our lives. Send them good wishes of healing, of health, and of energy. So as we inhale, we practice compassion and empathy. And as we exhale, we send out positive energy into the world. So just for a moment, be open and still. Taking a few breaths in and out. And bring to mind a person who is not at ease. Maybe you know them. Maybe you don't.
Maybe it's someone in the hospital that you've never met. Maybe it's someone who is struggling with their self-isolation a lot. Maybe it's just like the whole world. I think the whole world is hurting right now. As you breathe in, try to visualize that you're drawing in negative energy. And as you breathe out, you're sending warmth to that person or that thing. Breathe in, drawing in pain. And then breathe out, sending light. Breathe in, you're drawing in a bit of hardship. And breathe out, you're sending positivity. Just stay here for a few more minutes, breathing in and breathing out. Knowing that I'll bring you back when the time is up. Took my love, I took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around. And I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hill. Till the landslide it brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Oh, I don't know,
But time makes you bolder, chiller and get older, and I'm getting older too. You take my love and you take it down. You climb a mountain and you turn around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, till the landslide brought me down. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, the landslide bring me down. Just give your fingers and your toes a little bit of a wake up wiggle. And a nice long stretch from your fingers all the way through your toes or whatever way you want to stretch. Make our way up to a seated shape. If you want to join with hands at heart center, feel free, you don't have to. We close with an intention. It's an ancient intention. Perhaps the original intention. It's been passed from teacher to teacher to teacher to teacher to student through thousands of years. That our yoga practice remain steady, that our efforts be continuous, and that our yoga serves and benefits all beings everywhere. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy and free. May the thoughts and actions of each of our lives contribute towards this. So if you want to join me with an Om sound, we're going to inhale, exhale, and then inhale through to make an Om. So take a breath in, and then a breath out, and a breath in. Thank you guys for sharing the space and the practice tonight. Om Shanti Shanti, peace. Namaste.
The Mindful Life Practice.